What up, what up, what up, what up? Funk from the front seat is upon you. 9 on the Grind TV. Right here, live. A special guest today, Mr. Landon Bost, is with us. This young film producer, talented young man I met downtown at the Hayti Center. So y'all know how we do. Before we kick it off, let's get some funk up in here. For the president's out, but they never do shit, bitch. I just got out. Still rapping, slamming kittens and trail my gun. I'm the hardest to go for the hardest. Everybody say ho! Like a true juice, banana, you want a melon and diamond ring. North Carolina, where you at? Cross rocket, they don't stop in that track. South Carolina, where you at? Ohio, where you at? Flames up, shit fire out. Me like my phone. New York City, put on them sunglasses so we can see what we ain't looking at. It's going down to the thing of the frame with my face. Sure, you heard. Landon Bost is with us today, y'all. Produced by Mr. Bosley. From the front seat. 9 on the Grind TV. Nothing but the team. Ohio, what's up, Bridget? What's up, Boosie? Everybody clap your hands around the world like this. Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, New Orleans, Oklahoma, Mississippi, get over the hump. Landon Bost is in the house today, y'all. This young talented man is gonna blow it up. California, West Coast, what's up? Minneapolis, Detroit, Pennsylvania, Delaware, you aware? Long Island, Bayshore, Queens, Staten Island, where you at? Canada, Dubai, what up? Utah, Chicago, Illinois. Oh, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Yeah, we got the quarterback. All my Jets fans out there. Feeling a little street today. I'm coming in hype, y'all. I feel good today, y'all. Just woke up. Oh. Hawaii, Samoa, doing the Humpty Hump. Humpty Hump. Tokyo, Japan, Germany, Australia, England, Dubai, Elizabeth Island, what up, Bocalito? I got you. Africa, what's up? The whole continent. Peru, Iraq, Iran, Russia, Ukraine, what up? We love you. Everybody clap your hands around the world like this. Say ho! A nigga back. Say it again. Landon is in the house with us. Landon is in the house with us today, y'all. Landon Bost is with us today, y'all. Feeling good. Funk from the front seat is upon you. 9 on the Grind TV. Let's get right to it. Let's bring this brother in. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, put your hands together. Mystical. Funk from the front seat. Coming in with a little mystical today, y'all. I feel a little mystical. Thank you, Mr. Ross, for bringing us together this evening. We're going to go ahead and head over to the after party. We'll see y'all about 10. Come on. Y'all have a good one. Funk from the front seat. 9 on the Grind TV is upon you. Thank you for joining us today. We got a really, really cool special guest today. This young man is very talented, highly touted, has done so much in a short period of time for Black film, Black theater, as well as being an artist, a photographer. I read his bio. So right now, without further ado, Landon, come on in, bro. Nice to see you.
Nice seeing you. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm starting out a little choppy today. I'm a little tired, but everything is good. Everything is beautiful, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How's your family doing?
It's doing good. Everyone's doing good. So yeah,
good.
Just happy this good Saturday morning. It's a little bit of rainy early on, but now I feel like sun's starting to come up.
Yeah, so. It is. It's trying to spot off and on with the rain, and but as long as like we here and we doing what we do, that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? That's a good thing, man. So I saw you last time I saw you was at the film festival. And it was such a pleasure to meet you and chat with you, you know, even though we chatted briefly. And I'm so glad you could make it on the show so quickly. So I appreciate that you taking the time out, you know, because you have a lot to offer as a young Afro-American man, a pioneer, an entrepreneur with your own business, you know, and you're a leader in your community. You know, you carry a lot of responsibility and you carry it well. So I just wanted to tell you that. You know what I mean? For me hanging out with you and talking to you and everything, you know, you really got your head in the right spot, you know. So you're definitely an important asset to the artistic community down here in North Carolina. So, you know, if people ain't up on you, they will be. They will be, man. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. Where you from?
I'm from Harrisburg, North Carolina. So we're outside of Charlotte. So yeah, I've grown up here all my life. So I was born in Durham originally, but I moved to Harrisburg when I was 5. So this is home, and this is what I know.
So how long have you, like, when did you first realize at an early age, like you were going to be behind the lens? Did you pick up your parents' camera, or did you just say, hey, you know, this is something I'm definitely going to do? What was the inspiration? Because usually early on, when you're an artistic person, you really find these gifts out early, and then you kind of develop them and, you know, try to figure out, you know, which direction you want to take it. But what moment in your life coming up did you realize, hey, you know, I'm going to really be good at this, and this is something I want to do, to be behind the camera?
I mean, it wasn't early on in life, actually. It wasn't until I got to college, and it was later on in college, probably my sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, but I went there as a STEM major, and then I switched my major later on my freshman year to journalism. But I didn't start photography to my sophomore year, because I had an internship with Spectacular Magazine in Durham where I was doing some sports writing.
Right.
And then I had to start taking photos for the basketball stories that I was doing. So it was probably, I think it was a Delaware State game versus North Carolina Central over at McDougal-McClendon. And I got this one photo of this one basketball player. He really enjoyed it. And, you know, that just feeling of him, like, you know, enjoying this photo and him just, you know, just really taking to it is something that I was like, all right, I think I can do photography and be behind the camera. So
yeah, that's what's up. You know, that, you know, people take that for granted, but a lot of the shots we see, you know, and all the digital applications for photography and for, you know, video applications nowadays, you know, people say it makes the job easier, but I don't really think so, because I think, you know, both eras had their kind of skills, you know, with the old fashioned camera and, you know, carried around and this and that. And then, you know, with all the new digital technology that's out now, you can do so much more. I saw, and Mark has a lot of these pictures back there. We're going to look at some of them later, as well as your video clip. And we're going to talk about your, you know, your feature, your short film and everything, you know, which is amazing. You know, you're an award-winning, you know, producer, director, and, you know, that's something to really be proud of. But looking back, flashing forward to now, with all the digital applications, you can do so much more with your photography. But tell me, what did you play any sports coming up, and that's why you became, you know, got into that sports bug thing?
Yeah, I mean, I played basketball pretty much all my life, from when I was younger to, you know, high school. I mean, I feel like, you know, all kids dabble around, you know, all the sports, like, you know, football or soccer and baseball.
Right.
Basketball was the one that really stuck for me. So, I mean, I like all forms of photography, but definitely sports photography and probably portraiture are my 2 favorite forms.
Right. When you are out and about and you are at an event and you get ready to do some pictures and stuff like that, do you go by a natural feel, organically? Do you like kind of feel it, or do you kind of like dot the I, cross the T, and stick to the script? I'm always curious about what other people that are artistic, how they do it, because everybody has their own way. So, you know.
Yeah, I'll say a little bit of both. I try and tend on the more organic side, though. But sometimes if I'm going to a sporting event and they need a picture of the star player for the newspaper, so I gotta make sure I definitely get some good shots of him or her. But then after that, I mainly focus on what the story is. So I try and let whatever the story is unfolding dictate how I approach the situation. So I'll say story and moment, and of course light and composition to bring everything all together from a photography and even a video perspective. But the story is always the main thing at mind when I go out and document an event.
Right. So, um, tell us a little bit about going to college and being into your profession and how it kind of helped you after high school and how you got into it. But tell us a little bit, in case someone else wants to get into it, what are some things that they should know about your particular skill, photography and videography, that might help them along if they decide, hey, I might want to do this?
Well, I'll say, definitely just understanding. There's so much you can do now because everyone wants to tell their story. So I feel like something that I got stuck into going to journalism school is just, oh, you have to work in news,
Uh-huh.
a newspaper or broadcast television, network. But now there's so many different forms of media that you can use your photography or videography, skills, whether it's with, in a corporate setting, doing more branded work for different businesses, or saying, oh, I want to be strictly a sports photographer, strictly a wedding photographer, videography, or you want to work in TV and film and do that kind of aspect. So I'll say, really, you can do anything like with photography and videography. So I'll just say explore what you really like, and then figure out how you want to take photos or document those things. But I think the biggest thing that with any artistic thing is a lot of it is creative, but a lot of it is also technical. So I'll just say really learn the technical aspects, because once you get good at certain technical aspects behind the camera, or being able to tell a story, then you'll be able to explore the creative aspects even more. So I think sometimes people focus more on the creative aspects more than the technical, and they limit themselves into how much they can really explore their medium. But once you learn the technical skills, you can create really whatever you want.
I know I have my nephew, and he's an artist, whatever he paints, and I'm into the music thing. And it seems like the event that I met you at, I saw so many potentially bright-eyed people that want to get together and network. Right? Tell
Yeah.
us, what can we do to offer more exposure, help with the networking process? What can I do as an individual, and what can we do as a society, a small community here in North Carolina, to help enhance what it is that you guys do and what you guys are about? Because it seems like, there's so much energy um, in all directions, just doing all this great creative work. But, I think, what can we do to get the word out more? What can we do to boost it up more? Things like that. What do you think we could do as a community to help really support the arts like we should down here?
Well, I'll say anything where it's like festivals. They really help out, whether it's the Hayti Heritage Film Festival or just local art walks. Those usually help out because you can get artists from all different mediums to come together and display their arts to the community. So I'll just say anything that's community oriented, where it's like a film festival or art walk, even just meetups where different creative minds in the area can come together and just exchange ideas and make friendships and connections. So, I'm new, I'll say, to the North Carolina art scene myself, because after I graduated from UNC, I was away probably for a year and a half. I
Okay.
lived in Cincinnati for the summer doing an internship with their local newspaper. And once I left Cincinnati, came back home for like a month or so just to get my ducks in order. And then I moved down to Naples, Florida, in Southwest Florida. And I worked there at their newspaper for a year. So I've been back in North Carolina probably since September, I'll say. So 7 months now. So I'm still ingratiating myself and learning a lot more about the art scene in North Carolina.
Right. It's growing, it's trying, everybody that's down here, I guess, that's positive is trying to do their little bit to try to help make it grow. We're hanging out today on Funk from the Front Seat, not on the Grind TV. Um, Y'all caught me dressing this morning, so sometimes it's just like that. When you be rolling in late and rolling up early. Landon Boss is an award-winning documentary filmmaker and photojournalist who graduated from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Houseman School of Journalism and Media in May 2021. You directed, produced, shot, edited his first film, Black Saviors. And that's what we're going to look at. This 21-minute documentary about Black redemption and Black economic empowerment chronicles a senior director at a pharmaceutical company restoring the childhood home of a doctor who performed life-saving surgery on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Just that concept alone is a lot, right? Yeah. We're going to talk about a little bit more about that on the other side when Mark shows the clip. But your first feel like you didn't really go and say, oh, I want to make like a 2-hour Steven Spielberg thing your first time out the gate. You kind of like held it to a documentary. Do you see yourself as a documentary filmmaker or as a cat that wants to do it all?
I mean, I definitely don't want to limit myself just to one genre. I mean, I do very much enjoy documentary, and especially when you're an editor, the creative license you have to craft the narrative and craft the story. But I mean, I'm interested in all forms, I'll say. But the documentary, it just helped out because I did it as a class project at UNC. So it was just basically a one-man band thing, which is how all student projects are for the most part. So you can get to learn the equipment, just how to tell a story. So I think just starting off in documentary made sense more than trying to, craft like a short film that was more narrative driven or nonfiction or fiction, excuse me.
People don't realize how hard it is what you do, but how such a blessing you are to the world, because your film made it to 5 film festivals and won awards at the 12th annual Charlotte Black Film Festival in 2022 and the 2022 Baltimore International Black Film Festival. So first of all, kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
If you guys are out there watching, y'all go back and rewind this show. You guys need to go back and support this brother, because there are hundreds of young men and women out there of all races, creeds, and colors doing amazing things like that. So we need to talk about and enhance and uplift all the young people, as opposed to always thinking about all this negativity and stuff that's out there. We need to enhance young brothers and sisters and kings and queens like this, man. Because, you're the future of creativity, and creativity needs all aspects, the future, the meta, film, music, art, poetry, spoken word. It needs everything, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's why when I met you, I was really enamored with how you were so poised at such a young age. You're very, very serious cat. You remind me of Spike Lee. He was serious like that. I don't know. You probably get that a lot. I only met Spike Lee once, but he was so serious about everything. He was always like, they say Miles Davis was like that too. It's like focused, forward, no laugh, and just like bang. You know what I'm saying?
So I laugh a little bit here and there.
Huh?
I laugh a little bit here and there.
I see that, yeah. But even when you came on and you popped your head in couple of weeks ago, whatever, he was very serious. I was like, yo, this brother is a serious brother when it comes down to his craft. And that's what's needed. You got to stay focused. You got to be serious about what you do, because if you don't, then you can't actually get the best out of what it is you're trying to do. For those of you out there watching, please stay active on the chat line and go back and watch this show to your heart's content. We're on every Saturday at 12 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. and then again Saturday night. We're hanging out with Landon Boss today. This young man is deep into his craft of filmmaking, photography, and everything else. So who were some of your inspirations growing up? Some of your producers and directors that you said, wow, this guy's really on it?
Well, I mean, I guess that's an interesting thing, because like growing up, I mean, I never really even thought about film or photography really as a career path. Because most people I knew, they did stuff about their, business or like medicine or things of that nature. So I didn't really have too many inspirations, growing up. I liked going to movies. I liked watching TV shows, but I didn't think my liking for it was any more than just the average human being.
Right,
But
right.
I guess, and even now, I'll say since I'm in the craft, I just try and just take away little bits and things from everything I watch. So I don't think it's just one person where I say, all right, this is the gold standard of how this should be. Let me try and emulate them. I'll take things from you know, a fast food commercial that I see. Now I say, oh, that's an interesting cut, or that's an interesting thing. The same way where I'll take something from a big studio movie, like
Right.
Panther Wakanda Forever. Because, especially with video editing, there's so much editing and stuff that we consume on a daily basis. So even if it's just on YouTube or even watching something on my phone on Instagram or Twitter, seeing how someone cut something. Or so I just try and take inspiration from everything.
I think when I was growing up watching, like, it was the era of the big, movie theater and the big screen, and movies like General Patton and, stuff like that was winning awards, Porgy and Bess, and, there were major black films, but they were few and far in between because of the money and the budgets. But I remember the first time I saw Porgy and Bess, I saw it as a play.
Yeah.
Right, my mother took me to it as a play, and then the movie came out, and it had like all the major black stars: Sammy Davis Jr., Eartha Kitt, I think was in it, Lena Horne, I know was in it, Sidney Poitier, of course,
Yeah.
and it was the first time I was like, wow, there were so many characters on the screen that look like me. You know what I mean? I was like, so it is possible to be in front of the screen, and there's nothing taken away from the Bojangles of the world, because he opened the door. A lot of the early, step and fetches that people make fun of, but see, they had to get in the door somehow. So the door
Yeah.
had to be open. And then once the door got opened, then more and more, different minorities were able to get in. Just like the first time I saw West Side Story, I didn't know anything about Puerto Rican people or Puerto Rico or Latin people. I saw it as a kid, and then I was like, "Wow, that's a whole different culture." You know what I mean? So I think when we look back, of course, the gatekeepers could have let people in a lot earlier, but I'm just glad that a lot of that stuff has changed. Let me
Yeah.
ask you something. And we're hanging out with Landon Boss today, man. Funk from the front seat, Not on the Grind TV. Let me ask you, when you look at television or film today, I'm gonna just say it like it needs to be said. How do you filter through the bullshit?
I mean, I think that's the thing now, because since there's so many different streaming platforms, the equipment to make these films and TV shows, they're a lot more accessible, which is good because everyone needs the opportunity to create. You just kind of have to know what's, I don't want to say what's real, but what's, truthful, I'll say, in that regard. Especially now, I feel like there's a lot of fake news or, just fake media. That's a whole thing that kind of,
Amen.
Devalues the actual, unbiased journalism that does go on to inform the public, whether it's on a local level or even national level. So I think, and it gets really hard now because the lines are starting to get even more blurred, and things that used to obviously look fake years in the past now looks a lot more real based off of just the advancement of technology. But I'll just say, I don't know. It's a hard question because sometimes it's just people make content to, I'll say, pander to different people's already, biases. If that
Yeah.
makes sense. So one thing that I try and do, and just maybe just my journalism background, just to try and seek out things that I will watch anyways that relates to my personal experiences as a young black man from North Carolina, but then also to try and not just limit myself to only watching and consuming things that already fit my narratives of how the world should be. So just being open minded. I think that's something that my teachers really taught me when I was early on in high school. Just open-mindedness and just, of course, you don't have to agree with anything, but just being able to sit and have a conversation with someone who may be different than you goes a long way. Especially, I think I learned that when I was doing local journalism because every day I'll have to go out and meet people who weren't like me and complete strangers and try and get to know them in a very short amount of time. So I think I try and take that same mentality when I'm watching things.
That's a great way to approach an ever-changing, constantly progressing art form. You know what I mean? Because as we look at society and we realize they're trying to constantly take things that you do, that I do away, we have to constantly keep developing new ways to keep it alive and, keep it moving and also teach young people about the craft because sooner or later you're going to be the gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying? Sooner or later, you're going to have to reach back to some young person and say, hey, listen, check this out. You'll have more success if you do it this way. You'll be able to offer your wisdom, the wisdom that you're gaining. That's the beauty of life. We constantly see it flowing and changing. And of course, birthdays, anniversaries, transitions happen all the time. There's nothing you can do about it. That's just part of it, But, you really got your head screwed on right, man. And it's a blessing to have you on the show. Right now, we're going to take a few seconds just to acknowledge, Mr. Landon Boss and what he does and, award-winning, videographer and film producer, editor, and worked tirelessly on, his documentary. And we'll get ready to show a clip of that in a minute. But before we do, Mr. Mark Lee, I'm just going to have Landon hang out for a minute, and I'm just going to run Keith Jackson's voice because I love to hear his voice. So hang out.
Hey, this is Keith Jackson with P-Funk Radio, inviting you to check out my brother Zach Robinson with Funk from the Front Seat. Saturdays, 12 noon on the East Coast and 9 a.m. on the West Coast. It all happens on 9 on the Grind TV and also on YouTube. Great guest, great conversation each and every Saturday. That's Funk from the Front Seat with Zach Robinson on 9 on the Grind TV and YouTube. Check him out.
Hey, it's Chrissy Key Rellins. Hey, it's Chrissy Key Rellins here with Holistic Restoration, inviting you to check out Zach Robinson with Funk in the Front Seat. He drops new episodes every Saturday at noon on the East Coast time, and replays are posted for whenever you miss a live stream. You can find him on 9 on the Grind TV and also on YouTube, and get ready for the funk because he brings it every week, along with hot topics, amazing guests, and great conversations. Again, that's Zach Robinson with Funk from the Front Seat on 9 on the Grind TV and YouTube. Go check them out.
This is Joe Keys of Joe Keys and the Late Bloomer Band. This is Joe Keys of Joe Keys.
We got another one from Mr. Joe Keys.
Hey, it's Chrissy.
If we can get this one up and running.
This is Joe Keys of Joe Keys and the Late Bloomer Band. Just did a show with my man Zach. Number 9. That's right. Number 9's got it going on. Check out Funk from the Front Seat. Zach Robinson. Serious good vibrations, y'all. What we need.
Big shout out to P-Funk Radio, Keith Jackson, and all the Funketeers who are on the thread. Wishing me a very happy birthday, and also the late great Ray Davis, and also Uwe Collins, Boosie Collins' son. Him and I share the same birthday, so it was a beautiful birthday week. I appreciate everything. P-Funk Radio, Gabe, and Larry Funkster Jones, and JTRP, Boosie and Patty up in Ohio. Brenda, love you guys up there. HJ Entertainment, Kane and Jams. Tony Cam and the Funk All Stars, the Nappy Head Funk Army, Oak City Music Collective. Afterglow 92416, Q&A Entertainment, Brooke Cladgett, Love TXS Energy Drinks, Pat Dioria, Aquarius Rising Art, Curtis Wilcox, and Georgia Funkovinci with all this beautiful artwork, taking care of the Nappy Head Funk Army. Dr. Brookenstein, who takes care of my website, DJ Cocolino in Italy, David Webb, The Funk Chronicles. I appreciate you guys. He's up in Ohio. Y'all go check him out because I'm telling you, it's worth it. That's where the Funk Hall of Fame is. And everybody else that tunes into the show, hang with us because we're getting ready to approach our 3-year anniversary, May 2nd. Today, we are hanging out with this amazing young man, Landon Boston, and I definitely wanted to acknowledge like his presence as being a futuristic leader in this country, in this society, in this country, as far as being one of the young leaders that we need to pay more attention to, and not some of them other knuckleheads in the street. I know Mark Lee has something queued up back there, and I was looking at it earlier. I saw the trailer. So set the trailer up before we show it. We want you to set it up for us.
Yeah, so the story is about Murdy Sneed. She's a senior director at a pharmaceutical company, and she's restoring the childhood home of a surgeon who performed life-saving heart surgery on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. while she works on a COVID-19 vaccine. So the home is actually based in Durham. The doctor, Dr. Cordis Jr., he's originally from Durham, grew up in Hayti, went to Hillside High School. And he went on to New York University and had a medical career up in New York. And in 1958, when MLK was stabbed with a letter opener in Harlem, they rushed him to the hospital, and he was a part of the team of surgeons who performed that surgery. But the story is not too much about his legacy, but more so just what Black people can do to come back into our neighborhoods and, redeem them in with Black economic empowerment, or just with giving back your time, whether it's volunteering at a community center or whatnot, coaching little league sports. So it's really just about Black people investing in Black neighborhoods, and especially now since Durham and Hayti, it's changed a lot. It was changing when I was filming the project back in 2019, 2020, and even when I went back earlier this month, it looks a lot different.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so we get ready to check this out. You ready back there, Mark? Okay, let's run it. Black Saviors. Here's the trailer. Y'all check this out. 9 on the Grind TV, Funk from the Front Seat. You've seen it here first. Landon Boss.
This is not just a house. This was somebody's home. The family lived here. There was a life force here. I'm the guardian of this structure and all that it represents.
If it had been about an inch in either direction, it would have penetrated one of those arteries. I think if we had lost King that day, the whole civil rights era would have been different.
That's one reason why it's important to me that both this home and this story is preserved.
That's it.
You ever heard of the Black Bourgeoisie? Durham was in that book. When I came back in '75, I was like, what? And it looked like somebody had dropped a bomb on Hayti. It was gone.
A lot of times I wonder why I'm here.
And sometimes we only get the awareness because the gentrification has started. Now that it's got your attention, then the next question is, what are you going to do about it?
I had to rescue it. Somebody had to do it, Brad.
Yeah. Better you than me.
You can't do it.
Building something in the African American community speaks volumes.
This is a complex way of me saying thank you back to the community. It was never about benefiting me. It was about trying to help improve the community.
Oh, wow.
Yo, man, that's amazing, man. How did you develop some of the concepts that you were actually going to use to make this documentary? And is this just the first of many more of this kind?
Well, the concept, it was actually, so Murdy Sneed, the person who's featured in the documentary, she's my aunt. So she's always had a love for historical homes, and she's always worked in vaccine development. It's just her job became a lot more important in 2020. And so she's been always, when I was even interning with Spectacular Magazine, she even after games over at Central, she would ride me around through the neighborhood and just show me like different homes and say, oh, this home was the doctor of a former. I mean, this home was the home of a former doctor, or this home was the home of Wheeler Airlines, and all these great things. And just Durham, that neighborhood has a very rich Black history, just not to North Carolina, but to the United States. And I guess developing the story concept, I mean, it ebbed and flowed a little bit. At first, I thought I wanted to do more of a broader, I guess, look at what's going on in Hayti and some of the things that led to the early signs of gentrification and things that we're seeing along Fayetteville Street and things of that nature. But I was talked to a lot of community residents and talked to a professor at North Carolina Central who grew up in Hayti, and he was just telling me that focusing on all the things that should have been done and policies that should have been made to kind of stop the gentrification that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
Kind of, he said that conversation should have been had 20 plus years ago. He said now trying to have that conversation is like trying to untick a bomb that already exploded. So he just told me to focus more on my aunt because that's the more redeeming story and something that people can all relate to. I mean, you don't have to buy a home in a historical Black neighborhood. You just have to give your time and love and energy back to it in many different forms. So that's how I set on that. And answer your second question, I mean, I would love to continue doing stories like this. I mean, I love stories that focus on the Black experience and Black culture. And, who knows, this story right here is just one small story. I mean, there's a lot of great stories in Hayti, in that neighborhood. But definitely, I want to keep telling stories about the Black community further in my career.
That's one of the most noble things that you could say as a creative person, as a filmmaker. Well, actually, we have some pictures right now as well that we're going to show, and we want you to kind of just give us a little subscription of each one, and just tell us what was going on.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is back in my junior year. They have a workshop at Carolina where you can take photos and use all the high professional gear. So that was just one of my classmates taking a photo of me. I was very happy that day, just because I got to use a lot of the full frame lenses, because I was used to shooting on a crop body. So shooting full frame was such a rewarding experience. It was so fun. So that's pretty much that picture. So yeah, this photo right here is of Prime Time with the Pack. They have it every year. They're kind of like what they do to kick the season off for their men's and women's basketball program. And it was just a photo I liked. It seemed very just cinematic. And this is down in Florida, so they have a minor league hockey team, Blades, and they had just won the championship.
Okay.
And it was funny because all the photographers were on the other side and I was standing on like the red carpet because I didn't have the rubber grips to go on the bottom of your shoe to walk on the ice. So I'm just walking on the ice with just running shoes. I'm like, I can't walk on the ice with running shoes with all these expensive camera equipment. I'm gonna mess around, fall, and break a lens.
Right.
I mean, it ended up working out great because what the players would do, they would skate around the rink with the cup, and then once they do that, they hand it off to their teammate, and then they'll go greet their friends, family, relatives. And I was just in the right spot at the right time, and got this great photo of Louis, embracing his girlfriend.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary many years ago about the photographer who got Babe Ruth from the back the day he came back. He said he just happened to be there to get out of the sun, and then he said, "Wow, this is a natural shot." The three,
Yeah. And then this photo, this was a portrait that I did of a local athlete in Naples at one of the schools, and unfortunately, she was, a great athlete early on, and scored 1,000 points by her freshman year.
Wow.
but she had to undergo 3 knee surgeries, unfortunately. So this is the first time she's able to get back on the basketball court. Was her senior year after over 1,000 days. So it was just a feature story on her, and I took the portrait.
Yeah, that's deep though.
And then, yeah, this is actually one of my favorite photos that I took down in Florida. But it was actually my first football assignment.
Okay.
And it was this school, Laley. It's in South Naples, so that's where a lot of the black community is in the Naples community. And they beat one of the local Naples schools, and I mean they didn't have like a history of having a strong football program. So for them to win this game, one of the first games of the season for them, they just had like a lot of joy. So.
Wow.
And yeah, this was just from the documentary. So this is a video portrait of Mr. McLaughlin. He's a local resident in the Fayetteville Street community. So yeah, that was just a still from the film.
Wow, that's really cool, man. Like I said, you are an amazing inspiration. Shout out to everybody that's active on the thread. George, I know you're watching DeFunco Vinci, man. You're a great artist on your own right and working on some stuff for us, man. But I'm going to start having more, young people on because I value what you say. I validate your ideas and your inspiration. And we really, really have to start listening to what young people are telling us because you guys are the future. Every movement was always started by young people, and it bothers me that not enough old heads pay attention to what you guys are trying to put out, and they always try to block you. So I'm here to tell you, if you guys are watching this show, man, don't try to block people, man. Just try to lift them up and help them. You know what I mean? Try to do the right thing. Try to, encourage, inspire, give wisdom to. Don't try to hold on to the past. You can't do it. Embrace the past, but embrace the future. Acknowledge the past, but embrace what's coming. We have to always, exercise our egos and put all that shit aside. You know what I'm saying? Because really, truth be told, we only get this one life on this planet. You know what I mean? And this is the one we got to make the best of. So we really, really need to, ain't that facts, George? That's right. We really, really need to focus on, hey, if I can help a brother, let me try to help him. If I can help a sister, let me try to help him, especially in our community, because that's the one thing we don't do. That's why I try to have shows like this. And again, I'm not racist at all. I try to just open people's eyes about the struggle. Because a lot of things that we could do, we could actually help ourselves if we just are willing to do that, help another person, So I wish you nothing but mad success and love, man. How did you get invited to the Hayti? Well, you can comment on that as well, but I was just curious.
Oh yeah, it's with the Hayti Film Festival. I mean, there's a website called Film Freeway where you can pretty much submit to any film festival you want. I submitted to Hayti, and they accepted the film into the festival, which I was extremely grateful for.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of how I got involved with Hayti. But Hayti, they do a lot of just film screenings of different projects that they bring to the Hayti Heritage Center, and so they have a good film culture, I'll say there.
Yeah.
Projects.
I know the last one I went to, it wasn't nearly as crowded and as energetic as this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like this one here, man, it was standing room only and the buzz was out, and there was a lot of great work and things to be seen, and a lot of people really, really, really put their best foot forward in representing their work, Speaking of which, of course, sometimes we have to address the elephant in the room, right? And of course, there was yet in Winston-Salem, yet another college shooting. At the college, I think it begins with an F, Frailing, something like that, whatever. Mark would know what it is. But how do you feel about our culture right now, since we are all so enamored with guns, or not guns, but weapons?
Yeah. Oh, Forsyth College.
Forsyth, yeah, I knew it was an F, yeah.
Yeah, when did this happen? I didn't even know about this one.
Yeah, it slipped in, man. They so random now.
Yeah,
Regular, we don't even pay attention.
Yeah, no, I was still just thinking about what happened at was it elementary school in Tennessee?
Yes.
I mean, that was tragic. And it's just, I don't really understand it for real. I mean, it's just, I don't know why, you think a school of all places, whether it's a college, elementary school, middle school. I mean, those are one of the things that should be protected places. And to see, another shooting, whether it's in North Carolina, in Tennessee, or to know that, another one's going to happen, eventually. It's just, it's saddening, I'll say. And, I feel like our legislature, they need to go out and, do something. First, we need to go out and make sure we vote in these elections and make sure we put in the right people into positions of power and political offices so they can benefit, the everyday person. Because I couldn't imagine something like that happening. I have family, aunts and a mom who, work in, education. So it's just a sad thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. I know how somebody from my generation feels about it, but how do young people feel when they see their peers getting cut down left and right? From a young person's point of view.
I'll say, I personally feel sad.
Right.
I know it's a difference now because everything is just so you become numb to it since everything is posted or it's on social media. So seeing graphic images that you want to see in the past, now you're starting to see them more. So I think people become numb to it and just get to a point where it's, what can you do about it? So it just comes like an apathy toward the situation, which I don't think is a good thing at all.
Right. You're right about that. And I'm glad to hear, and when I say young, I don't mean like you're a child or nothing like that.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that, because a lot of times if we don't talk to young people, say 35 and under, we don't know what you're thinking, right? So we have to talk to you, communicate, and this way we can all kind of work together on it. And I'm happy to hear that people do have empathy and people do feel, because sometimes because of the technology, a lot of people feel that young people don't feel. And we shouldn't feel that way. That's not true at all. Just because you guys are embracing technology, you're still made up of the same DNA. You might just express it differently. So if you're out there and you're a parent or your aunt, your uncle, cousin, a mentor, whatever, just remember, validate young people's feelings. Don't take them for granted, because their feelings are just as real. Even though they grew up in this technology and everything is an emoji and a smiley face and a kiss and this and that, that doesn't mean that their feelings are like that. You know what I mean? So we have to really, really validate and be careful, because you guys are much more technologically advanced, but you're a lot more tender than we were. And it says that since the beginning of time. Like you and I never would have been able to live in a cave. Never would have happened. It just wouldn't have been able to happen. But yet people did it. So over a period of time, as your body gets weaker, your brain develops to get stronger. You know what I mean? So that's why when I do shows like this, I really, really want to hammer home some of these points that, listen, we have to really, really focus on what you guys are saying, because you guys hold the key to the future. And I can't stress that enough. Mr. Mark Lee, you back there, sir? Oh, we got 2 more clips, though. We have another clip that's 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. Which clip is that?
We do have a clip, and it's actually a promotional clip that he did, and all in that space.
Well,
so
let's
play
run
that
that.
clip real quick. Yeah, let's play that and see what this is all about.
Yeah, let's see what it's all about.
And he might have some thoughts around this after we play it, but let's check it out.
And things of that nature.
just heard the pops and I hit the floor. A rush of emotions and fear. So much pain just rushing towards my knee. What just happened? I didn't really know all the details of ACL tears.
I came back in 75, I was like, what? And it looked like somebody had dropped the bomb on Haiti. It was gone.
And sometimes we only get the awareness because the gentrification has started. Now that it's got your attention, then the next question is, what are you going to do about it?
I had to rescue it. Somebody had to do it, Brad.
Yeah. Better you than me.
You can't do it.
Building something in the African American community speaks volumes.
This is a complex way of me saying thank you back to the community. It was never about benefiting me. It was about trying to help improve the community.
Our responsibility now as older people is to be saviors for the next generation.
Was your promotion real, Landon? That doesn't get you some work. I don't know what will, but I was wondering, what was it like to interview that young lady with the ACL tear? Because I'm thinking that had to be a moving interview just to see what she went through in all that space.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was good. Luckily, I had a reporter with me who was a writer who asked a lot of the questions. And, I mean, it was moving because she comes from an athletic background, like with her family. Her dad was a quarterback at the University of Florida back in the day. So for her, sports have always been just not just a physical activity thing, but it's also just a way that she could connect with not just her peers, but just with her, family. So when she was like off the court, off the track and field, a lot of that social aspects was taken away from her. So I mean, just being back on the court for her was just more about just being around her friends and just doing something she enjoyed. So I mean, that was a pretty I'll say moving interview. And it was cool too, because I mean, that was the same story that the portrait of her was from. So it was interesting to try and bounce between doing the photography and then doing the video work as well. But I mean, it all worked out. And that was one of the stories that got me an award at the newspaper that I was working at. I think it was a second place finish, I want to say. Second or third place finish. And it's one Florida Society of News Editors competition.
Well, if I can pivot just really quickly, Zach sometimes allows me to ask more than one question, but what is your thoughts around gentrification? Because I was actually just talking to some young folks here and some folks that are in an older age and everything, but what is your take on gentrification, and do you see any hope for what is going on? Because we're seeing a lot of our neighborhoods being destroyed and not necessarily bouncing back, but what is your thoughts as to what we can do to enrich our communities?
Well, I'll just say, I mean, gentrification is one of those weird things because someone was telling me once, you can buy and sell property wherever you want in this country. And, gentrification is one of those things. It's an economic process, but it has real social impacts because it's just basically real estate exchanging, land and property. But with that exchange, people end up getting displaced or moved out the way, and social communities change. There's a neighborhood, which is just a collection of homes, and then a community, which is how the individuals within those homes interact with each other. So when we talk about gentrification, a lot of it just talks about just what's happening to the community that once was there. And I think the way we can combat it is just, everyone's not going to be able to buy, or won't think it's feasible to buy, in a certain neighborhood. But as I was saying earlier, Black people, you don't have to buy a house. You can volunteer at a church, at a community center, teach directly to some kids, just anything where you're just going back into Black spaces and enriching people who look like us will go a long way in maintaining that sense of community. Because if the people who occupy the homes change, you know, from families or even change from different new races moving in, ethnicities moving in, but the community that was built by Black people still exists there, I think that could be a solution, not a cure-all, because you would still want to see, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. If I can just, and this is the last one I'm going to ask Zach and everything, but your aunt is a scientist. Do you think that we give enough support to our scientists? I mean, like I said, she was doing all that amazing work with the pandemic and the COVID cures and stuff along those lines. But do you think that there is enough of a conversation with our scientists and enough of encouragement of our scientists?
I mean, I guess that's an interesting question, because just unfortunate just how things were portrayed once the pandemic hit. I mean, the scientific community was really under attack for, you know, doing things that they trying, you know, to help us, really. And it's almost, there's a lot of overnight scientists when, you know, in reality it takes even a pediatrician or farm. I mean, it takes years to amass the experience and the know-how and the technical skills to perform these, you know, trades that we all need. So hopefully I'd like to see a push back to, you know, supporting our scientists, supporting just the medical fields in general, because they were really under attack once the pandemic did hit, really just for political reasons, which was unfortunate because people ended up dying because of that. So.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Do you ever get jealous of where your aunt goes to visit? Because I'm sitting there sometimes when she's telling me she's in Brazil or England or France, and I'm going like, Bertie, this is absolutely wrong. You are traveling too much of the world. So I want to know if you ever get jealous of the places that your aunt gets to go visit.
I love it, actually, because I remember when we were kids, when I was younger, she'll always bring us something back, whether it was like a soccer jersey, some of the country's currency, a little memento here and there. I remember she was traveling a lot one year for work, and we had a Flat Stanley project in my class, and I just gave my Flat Stanley to her because, I mean, she travels all over the world. And my classmates, my teachers, they're like blown away because, you know, Flat Stanley was in Singapore. He was in all these different places in the world. So, I mean, I think it's cool. I mean, hopefully that's something that I would want to do more once I, you know, start getting older, and just travel more outside the country and just see different parts of the world. Because, I mean, just learning about different cultures and different ways of living just is enriching just to anyone. And you really just realize that you're, of course, a citizen of your local community, but just also a citizen of the world.
Yeah, no doubt.
I want to ask you both something politically, but it's not necessarily something that you have to answer. But going forward, and this is something that I always say, I think we have way too many politicians, right? It's too fucking many people. It's like having a band and you got like 30 guitar players. You don't need that many, 3 or 4 maybe, but not 30, right? So how do you think we can, because obviously the horse is out of the barn.
Yeah.
Right. But we have to somehow, as society, figure out how to roll back, because they're just drowning us in debt and drowning us in poverty. You know what I mean? So I just want your opinion about it, because I think there's a documentary to be made about going to politicians saying, hey, why don't you do something else? Because your job right now ain't really necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we ought to start putting these people on blast, you know, because let's face it, we have way too many people trying to decide what's best for us and our money, and we don't have any say-so in it.
Hey, Zach, is it that we have way too many politicians, which I agree, we have way too many. I'm not going to argue that. But do we also have way too many that are in office for way too long? Because if I hear of another politician that is in office for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, I'm going have you had not accomplish whatever you were going to accomplish, and can't you let some young bloods in there and everything? I don't know if Landon has any political aspirations, but I'm sure some of his friends do, and he may be able to encourage them to step into that lane and not have somebody that is closer to our age running the political system. I think we need to have a mixture of the youth voice and the elderly voice.
Totally.
Yeah, no, I think like you're saying, like a mix of the two generations would be good, just so you get more of a political, just more like an age range in political offices that can, like you said, unless you talk to someone who's below 35, you may not understand, how they really feel. In the same way goes for me. If I don't talk to people who are of older generations, I may not know how they feel. So I think whatever political office or whatever body of government, it just needs to represent the people from, race, age, gender, sexual orientation. Just needs to represent the country, not just be the same old people or same certain demographic of people. In office, it just needs to be representative of society in the United States.
Yeah, I agree. I know Supreme Court justices, they can stay in forever. Like, they get lifetime appointments, man.
Yeah.
That shit's unheard of. There's no way somebody that was born in 1930 and then became a court justice in the 50s can identify with anything going on in 2023. Shit's impossible. Other than the fact that they breathe air and eat food like the rest of us. But other than that, how in the world? You're like pre-everything. You're pre-cell phone. You're pre-computer pretty much. I mean, they had computers, but they were like the size of like Walmart. So it's like, it's like, I don't understand why we continue to put up with this. And I'm trying to do everything I can to bring attention to it because I really, really think that, this has got to stop. I don't know if I'll see it in my lifetime. I hope I do. And I hope you see it in your lifetime. But man, oh man, they got our money so screwed up now. You can't get nothing done. They control the laws, the school boards. There's so much that we lost control of. And then they convince us that we all have to hate each other so they can keep stealing more. Because that's the biggest bullshit lie. Like, it's never really about, some things are about race, but the big picture, not about race at all. It's about economics. And I say that all the time, man. And I stand fast by that shit. It's the economics. It's like 1% of the people own 99% of the wealth. And we let this shit happen.
But isn't part of the problem the narrative within that? Because if we are telling our young people that in order to make it, they have to, and no knocking on you, Landon, they have to make it in movies or they have to make it in athletics, when we know for a fact that young athlete that you interviewed is an example that it is not even 1% of the athletes that are actually going to make it that are in athletics. I mean, I just watched last night an amazing young lady that shot in the women's NCAA, and like I said, she scored 41 points yesterday, scored 41 points the night before, and everything.
Oh, the girl from Iowa.
The girl from Iowa. That's what I'm talking about.
She can ball.
Yeah, but we don't even know that she's necessarily going to make it. I think she will make it in the WNBA, but the percentages are really low of those that make it. Is the point that I'm making, is that she will probably make it, but there's a good possibility that she may not make it, and she's one of the stars of the industry and everything. So what is your take, Landon? Are we concentrating too much on certain industries and not enough on other industries? And what do you see as the number one issues for young people of your own age range?
The number one, just so I have that question right, the number one issue for just the number one issue in general?
In general, yes.
Well, I think the big issue is, I feel like now with social media, it's just like a highlights of the good things. Of course, because people are going to most likely just put whatever good they're doing on social media, which makes sense. It's just like a promotional tool. But in that, some people get lost in what reality actually is, and they may see someone else who they think, oh, they're ahead of them in life or whatever and whatnot, whatever field, they start feeling down about themselves, and they realize everyone goes through struggles on a daily basis, and they have their own things they have to work doing. Just because you're not doing all this great stuff right now when you're 22, 23, 24 doesn't mean things won't look completely different in 2 or 3 years. I think a lot of times with social media, and sometimes people seeing so much of the good, they forget about reality and then just become discouraged on their own journey. And they just forget to realize that, everyone's path is different. And, just because you may take a different path than someone else doesn't mean you can't get to the same place or even like a better place type thing. So I think that's an issue.
That's well said, man. We're hanging out with Landon Boss. Sorry, I keep screwing your name. You Landon Boss today. Forgive me for that. And we are in a very good space when it comes to young entrepreneurial photography, videography, edit, technical people that are going forward with the industry of Black filmmaking, Black documentaries, dealing with minorities, and also blending in everything else that society needs us to blend in. But at the same time, we really, really need to think about how the political system keeps trying to chokehold all of that off by taking things out of the schools and by allowing some of the people that run the different states to make all kinds of crazy laws and things like that don't benefit anybody. Because if you got a crazy law and it benefits only, like, say 13% of the population, then the other 67% or 77% are like, yo, this don't benefit me at all. It doesn't make any sense. And these things are constantly being done. And again, gentrification. I mean, damn, how much can you gentrify? They've gentrified the gentrification. It's like, how many times can you displace people and have them move on I-40 right here in North Carolina? It's a damn shame. And I hope Governor Roy Cooper and anybody from North Carolina, newspapers, are all paying attention, because none of you do a report on this shit. So Channel 2, Channel 7, Channel 5, Channel 4, all of y'all are bullshit. There's a tent city right on the other side of exit 289. You know what I'm saying? And I see it all the time when I'm driving Uber. And it's a whole tent city with cardboard boxes, pieces of wood, tents, tarp, and it's about like 20, 30 people that live over there, right off I-40, right before you get to Cary. Now, how come there's no cameras over there? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Zach, I got one better for you.
You're just bullshitting.
Hey, Zach, I got one better for you. How about the fact that there's one literally just around the corner from an elderly center and the ballpark, literally maybe 3 or 4 blocks from downtown Durham. There's also a tent city right there.
I know. Yeah, I see that guy too under there. Yeah, under the bridge. I know the guy you talk about. Yeah, and again, it's like, like Landon so eloquently put it, like they have to want to change to make change. But if you have no resources, you have no driver's license, you have no home, you have no address, you really physically don't have the skills to keep up with a modern day kind of lifestyle when it comes to the skills needed to maybe have a good paying job. What are you supposed to do? The country has conveniently just forgot about these people. And it really bothers me. That's my pet peeve, like with this country. As great as it is, we really just let our elderly and senior citizens fall by the wayside, and we let people that need help. Now, I'm not talking somebody that chronically abuses the system. I'm talking about somebody that actually legitimately needs help. So if you're a politician out there, why don't y'all go check out that tent city off I-40 and tell me what you think, or the one that Mark's talking about, It's crazy, man. Landon, you're our hero of the week, but we also have another gentleman we need to acknowledge. But every week we do acknowledge a hero of the week, okay? And because of what you do in film, because of what you do for the community, because of your love for humanity, we honor you. We salute you. You are our hero of the week, Landon Boss. Thank you for joining Funk from the Front Seat. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Hey, man, it's all good, bro. But don't go just yet. We got can you hang out with like another minute or two?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah. Mr. Mark Lee, Willis Reed, tell us about this, brother, because
Willis Reed was an amazing basketball player who was doing all kinds of things and made some of our modern basketball players look mild in nature, because he was tenacious. For one thing, he was a tenacious defender and a tenacious athlete, and all in that space. So there is no doubt that Willis Reed gave a lot of recognition, and I'm going to bring up one of the pictures and all in that space and everything. But yes, he definitely is a truly amazing athlete and it definitely is one that we all should be recognizing and honoring. And I've got a couple of other pictures as well, but definitely I was glad to see that we've got this amazing athlete and all in that space. But if you don't know who Willis Reed is, I hope that you will be learning about him, because he was a precursor to the ones that we're talking about when we talk about LeBron, or when we even talk about Michael Jordan or a number of the other great athletes. And I know that he was bringing some titles to the area of the world that you love dearly. Zach, he was definitely a champion there in New York. So he was definitely bringing that New York toughness to everybody and everything. Because when I think of New York tough, I definitely think of Willis Reed, along with some other athletes that were from that area as well. So there's no doubt that Willis Reed was bringing some ferocious attacks to the hard court and all in that space. So
and you're right. Now, didn't he come from Grambling?
Yes,
I think he went to
did.
Grambling State. Right, Grambling, right?
I believe so. I'm going to double check that history for you, but I know that
Grambling or Morgan State, but I think it was Grambling. And yes, he played for my New York Knicks. As a matter of fact, he was on the team the last time the Knicks won a title. So that goes to show how bad my team has been. So, and why, like an idiot, I still like root for the Knicks, the Jets, and the Mets. You think I need sports therapy, Landon? You're gonna have to come and take a picture of me, because I'm gonna need some sports therapy. My teams are so bad. But anyway, having said that, Willis Reed played in one of the most pivotal, influential games ever, because he came out with a bruised hip and couldn't walk, and he only played the first minute of the game, but it inspired the New York Knicks to go ahead and beat, at the time, the Goliath, who was Lou Alcindor, but it was, he later on went to be named Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he was at Milwaukee Bucks before he even went to the Lakers. A lot of people don't know Kareem actually came from the Milwaukee Bucks. He played for them first, and his name was Lou Alcindor. And the team was so inspired, they went on to win the championship, Game 7 at Madison Square Garden, simply because they saw him run out and take 2 shots, and he hit both shots, and then the coach took him out because he literally couldn't walk. But there's video of him limping up and down the court, and that speaks to what you were saying, Mark, about his tenacity and how tenacious he was on the court, man. But he was one of my favorite players. We salute you, Willis Reed, number 19. Your numbers hang in the rafters. We're sorry you transitioned on, but now I know you up there playing basketball in heaven for the Harlem Globetrotters. So we thank you for your contribution. And he was one of the 50th greatest players as well that the NBA named. So one of the best centers ever. So, and that's the young Dave Cowens back there against the Boston Celtics. Dave Cowens was young. He was a hell of a player too. But back then they used to let him play basketball. Now they kind of like they're a little soft now, so but it's all good though.
Yeah,
Cats don't even play the full season anymore. They play like 40 games. That's it, 45 games. Oh, coach, it's 4:00. What time the game starts? 6. Well, I ain't playing tonight. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. It's crazy, and the amount of money these people make, millions and millions and millions and millions, man, is whack, man. Yo, Landon, man, we've had a blast hanging out with you. Time flies, man. We always give our guests the very last word and give you the full screen because you deserve that. And I want you to take your time and just speak to my audience and also speak to our young people. George DeFunco says there should not be any homeless in the USA. The money that goes to send to Ukraine should have been used to house the homeless. And I agree with you 100%, bro. It's like we spend way too much on other stuff. And imagine the resources if we could get half or a third of the homeless people and get them to pay taxes and work, how much better our economy would be, That's the game, though. But you're right, George. You know me, George. I'm always be on my high hat about that. Because, on my high horse about that, because I feel strongly like I have a platform, small though it may be, I need to constantly keep reminding people, hey, we are far from Nirvana.
No doubt. We got to do something about the homeless and everything. I know we're going to turn it over to Landon. Yeah. I was going to just say that you were absolutely correct. Reed did attend in Grambling State University. He played for the Grambling State Tigers men's basketball team. And during his career, he scored 2,280 career points, averaging 26.6 points per game and 20.3 rebounds per game during his senior year. Can you imagine that kind of numbers at a senior in school and everything. That's a whole lot of rebounds.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And I think, going back to, and thank you for that, Mark, going back to this situation with people here, it's almost like they said, well, if you're not strong enough, you don't have the economics, we're just going to write you off. So no matter what you've done, what you've given, we're not going to validate that if you can't keep up. Now, that's fair in some aspects, because some people, they're going to ride the system. But then sometimes people simply can't keep up because they can't keep up. What if they're tired? What if they have an affliction? What if they have a disability? What if they have, they don't have the resources to, do the things that others do? So I think just be mindful out there who you judge and how you judge, because the next one you judge could be judging you. Just keep that in mind, But we're going to turn it over to Landon, full screen, bro. And, you speak to the people and let them know, hey, what you feel, what's going on. It could be about anything. I want to thank you again, Mr. Mark Lee. Amazing production as always. Landon, thank you, sir. You've been an amazing guest. You all out there tuning in. We're going to show it again at 6 and again at 12 tonight, man. And we're going to have you back on soon, man. And we want you to bring some of your friends on, man, so we can talk to them as well,
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No doubt, man. No doubt.
So I want to thank everyone that's out there listening, tuning in, watching. Thank you for doing so. I appreciate it. It's been fun, morning, fun time, good vibes on here. And the only thing I'll say is just whatever you do, just keep going. Today may not look how you may want it to look, but as long as you got the energy, and first, as long as you get the blessing to wake up in the morning, that's one thing. Then you have just the energy to do what you want to do. That'll go a long way. And eventually, if you just keep working and keep going at it, whatever you're doing every day, and little by little, just keep getting better, then you'll be able to accomplish whatever dreams or whatever goals you want. Sometimes, I think someone was telling me, I was listening to someone speak, and they're talking about sometimes people or sometimes society makes things further out of our reach than what they actually are. And once you just get that out of the back of your mind that, this goal or this idea or this dream that I want to have is unattainable, then you're already so much closer to where you will be. So that's it. That's all I got to say right now. Just want to say thank y'all for having me on, Zach and Mark, and I appreciate it. Just keep going.
Hey, man, thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure. And we appreciate your time, your effort. We're going to validate everything that you're trying to tell us and teach us, because each one can teach one. I'm a firm believer in that. I think that everything that we scratch the surface on today, we can actually peel back the layers and really get deep and depth into it, next time you come through. And like I said, bring some of your friends, man. What's up, Kev? How you doing? Mary, how you doing? George DeFuncovinci, Dr. Brookenstein, and everybody else that was tuning in, that was watching. Obviously, it's a little rainy day over here and it's overcast, so we started out a little slow, but I'm glad the show got some momentum and got going. We really, really want to highlight this season of Funk from the Front Seat. This whole year, we're going to try to have as many young people on as possible, so we can show all the good that you guys are doing, and we can be the counterculture to everything that's negative that they're trying to put out there. So people can't say it don't exist. They just got to find us. We're out there. So if you guys are watching, you know where we are. We're all on YouTube, all over the place, Facebook. So y'all stay tuned, man, and be up on it, man. So, because this brother is he's not a unicorn. There are many more brothers and sisters like him. You know what I'm saying? This is the norm. We just don't talk about it enough. So the more we talk about it, the more attention we can bring to it. I'm honored, man. For those of you hanging out, thank you. My producer, Mr. Mark Lee, Funk from the Front Seat, Not on the Grind TV. Let's get ready to get out of here and see what we got. I'm having so many crazy technical difficulties today, man. I'm telling you. It's been one of those days. Sir knows, D-Boy the Funk. Sir knows trying to get me, man, all the time. Sir knows. There we go. Come on. So Landon Boss is with us today, y'all. Funk from the Front Seat, 9 on the Grind TV. Our producer, Mr. Mark Lee. Your host, number 9, right here. The world is full of controversy. We gotta change it, we gotta fix it. Stay prayed up, stay spiritual, all right? Minneapolis, we're gonna start with you. Detroit, Queens, Philadelphia, what up? Staten Island, Bayshore, Delaware, Virginia, Pennsylvania, DC, top of the city. Virginia, South Carolina, Iowa. I know you guys are spoiling out.
Thank you, George. I appreciate it.
Houston, Texas, check it in. I got you, George. What up, Kev? New Orleans, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida, what up? Utah, Chicago, Kentucky, North and South Dakota, California, Nevada, what up? Samoans doing the Humpty Hump in Hawaii, y'all. Tokyo, I said, yo, China, Japan, Germany, Italy, Australia, Africa, Dubai, Ohio, what's up, Brenda? What's up, Boosie? What's up, Pat? The world is full of controversy, y'all. Be kind to somebody today. Be nice to somebody today. Funk from the Front Seat. They can slow us down, but they can't stop us. Sometimes you just need a little controversy. You guys stay safe. I love you guys. All around the world for the fun. Landon, man, you've been an amazing guest today.
Thank you. I appreciate it for having me on the show. I enjoyed it.
I was having some serious technical issues from the start of this show, but we made it through. I want to thank you very much for coming on and being our special guest today. As always, we appreciate you. We validate you, and everything about you, man, is a perfect 10, bro. Keep doing what you're doing, man, and anything we can do right here on Funk from the Front Seat to help boost your career and bring attention to the good work that you're doing, let us know, and we'll make that happen, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for hosting this space, too, and, like, inviting me and everything. I appreciate it. And
Amen.
It's all love, all love.
Yeah, man. Just to see your face smiling, man, that means a lot. So that's a beautiful thing, man. My best to your family.
Thank you. You as well.
All right, Mr. Mark Lee, we out, bro. Funk from the Front Seat, 9 on the Grind TV. I'll see y'all next Saturday. And next Saturday, we got some more young people coming on. We're going to be talking about some games and stuff like that. So y'all stay tuned for that. That's going to be dope next Saturday. 9 on the Grind TV, Funk from the Front Seat, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you to everybody that supports this show. We couldn't do it without you guys. I love y'all. We out, Mark.
Peace.